Unsung is normally dedicated to a person or a group of people or a recording group that may have experienced some popularity, but they never quite reached uh, the potential of that popularity, or they never really, as we would say, blew up, quote unquote. This Unsung is going to be about Miss Bernnadette Stanis, uh, aka Thelma from Good Times. And if you're from my age bracket, um, you pretty much was a young boy coming of age when Good Times was on TV. And I always say, kind of playfully, Good Times raised me. The show was, I mean, I just was, I loved the show. I could relate to it on many levels. My mother was a single mom. We didn't have a father in the home. That's what kind of made me kind of gravitate to James because he represented everything that I would want in a father. And I think it's pretty safe to say that um, he left the show after the third season, and I mean it was still pretty good, but it was never quite the same once John Amos left the show. Now I'm biased, admittedly, but Good Times to me is one of the greatest shows of all times. And I really admired and respected all the characters. And Florida sometimes would really get on my nerves with her little self righteousness or whatever. But it is what it is. They still had balance. JJ. Eventually he matured. But Miss Bernadette Stanis, man, and we clearly, as a young teenage African American, boy coming up. I mean, come on, man, she was like a little sex symbol, if you will, to the little African American teenage boys in the '70s, right? Before we even knew what that term, meant. We all had a crush on Thelma. Back then we didn't know her name. We just know her as Thelma from Good Times. As a matter of fact, she still kind of even bills herself as that. Bernadette Stanis. Parentheses Thelma from Good Times, right? Because everyone knows Thelma from Good Times. And as talented as that sister was, as beautiful as she was, she never really latched onto a role as big as her role in Good Times. And I mean, I personally will never understand that. I mean, she had it all. She could dance. She had beauty. She was, you could tell she was passionate. I mean, her timing was impeccable, especially with the timing between her and JJ when they would crack on each other. Um, but she never quite, she never reached that plateau where we think, B or A level type actress or whatever. And it's not because she wasn't talented or because she wasn't beautiful, right? But that's what the Unsung is dedicated to, um, those men and women and groups that they stepped on the scene and they may have been very popular, but they never quite blew up or never quite reached the potential that everyone expected them to reach based on their talent and ability. So that being said, this Unsung is dedicated to Miss Bernadette Stanis, also known as Thelma from Good Times. Bernnadette Stanis, whose birth name is Bernadette Stanislaus, was born December 22nd, 1953. She's an American actress and author. She is best known for her role as Thelma Evans, the only daughter of Florida and James Evans Sr. on the CBS sitcom Good Times, which originally ran from 1974 to 1979. Ms. Stanis is the author of 4 books. The first, called Situations 101, Relationships, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, For Men Only, Situations 101, Finances, and The Last Night. Miss Stanis was one of 5 children. She was born and raised in the Brownsville section of Brooklyn, New York. Her paternal grandparents were from Carriacou in the Grenadian Islands. She attended Erasmus Hall High School and later attended the Juilliard School. As a teen, Stanis entered Miss Black America pageants and went on to become Miss Brooklyn, a title with which she became first runner-up in the Miss New York State pageant. Miss Stanis played the role of Thelma Evans. CBS sitcom Good Times from February 1974 to August of 1979. After the series ended, she made appearances on television shows including The Cosby Show, and What's Happening Now. She and former co-star Jimmy Walker, JJ, lent their voices to a radio spot for AT&T, and Stanis went on to do a nationwide insurance commercial. She has been featured in promotions for the TV1 network and in a Thelma promotion that aired September 19, 2009, alongside actress Anna Maria Horsford in The Battle of the Thelmas that aired their weddings from their respective TV series. Horsford portrayed, quote, Thelma Fry in the TV series Amen. During the Way Back Then promotion in February 2010 in honor of Black History Month, she and Walker appeared on the program Color TV to share their memories and thoughts on good times. She later appeared on the TV1 show Life After. In July 2016, Ms. Stanis appeared on an episode of Centric's Being discussing her life and career. Ms. Stanis has been married 4 times. Her first marriage was to high school sweetheart Thomas Fauntleroy from June 1974 until 1978, then to Brooklyn nightclub owner Darnell Johnson in January 1979. Stanis' third marriage was to mechanical engineer Terrence Redd. Stanis gave birth to their daughter, Dior Ravel, circa April 1982. The couple later divorced. Her fourth husband is Kevin Fontana. An article in 2012 said they had been married 31 years, but other sources cited above stated that Stanis was married to Redd around 1981. Stanis also had a second child, daughter, Brittany Rose. Stanis currently lives in Atlanta, Georgia, with her children. She's well recognized by her role as Thelma, but she has a lot more going on than that. Throughout the 1970s, Ms. Stanis was the embodiment of the character Black Beauty. Even with all her elegance and sophistication, she became the first black sex symbol, or the quote-unquote it girl, on television. She is a superb dancer with a lot of grace, which she demonstrated on the show Good Times multiple times. And whatever Bernnadette created, she did it with a delicate touch, paying attention to details such as beauty, form, or elegance. Her poise and beauty made a welcome appearance on television in the 1970s, as they do even now, and they will continue to do so for as long as there is a television. Her dramatic and humorous charm, witty one-liners, daintiness, winsomeness, seductive but innocent image, and sexy but innocent image were all varied attributes that made her a remarkable talent and a great favorite who will never be forgotten. Pageant. She also competed in the Miss New York pageant and placed second there. She has even been crowned Miss Brooklyn in one of those pageants. She appeared on a couple different TV shows as well. She was a guest star in several episodes of the Cosby Show and What's Happening Now. She worked as did some voice work at AT&T radio advertisement. In the 1980 television series The Love Boat, Ms. Stanis portrayed the character Jane Reeves. After that, she starred in several television episodes, with her most recent appearances being in the television sitcom Girlfriend, which aired in 2003. In addition, she played the role of Audrey in the television show Good News. Stanis has made 9 film appearances throughout her career as an actress. Throughout the 2000s, she had roles in a variety of films. In the film Hidden Blessings, which was released in 2000, Bernnadette portrayed a character named Jackson, who was a lawyer. Insecure, released in 2010, was her most recent film, in which she played the role of Dr. Heather. Throughout the years, although she never was able to latch on an iconic role as the one of Thelma, she stayed busy. She worked, and by all admissions, she has made a respectable amount of money based on her talent and craft, thanks to the various endorsements and deals and advertising and acting throughout the years that she's been involved with. But from my perspective, Miss Stanis is legendary. She's an icon. She isn't talked about nearly enough. She will forever be remembered as the iconic Thelma from Good Times, the show that meant so much to me as a little kid coming up in the 70s. I had one brother and a sister, There was two boys and a girl with them. It was just so much that I related to with them. You know, we didn't have a lot of money. The only thing they had we didn't was a father. And to this day, I believe John Amos is the greatest TV dad ever. I don't. It's not even up for debate for me. I don't care who you call. He was just he represented everything. He was strong. He didn't play no games. But I mean, he just really, John Amos was the man. But Miss Stanis, she she balanced that show out. And I think when he left, it allowed her to kind of concentrate on her adventure. She married Keith. Remember, he was a football player, all that kind of stuff. And like I said, the show was still pretty good. But I'm being honest. It was not never quite the same when James left. But I want to give a shout out to Miss Stanis. You one of a kind. I appreciate you. I salute you. And may God continue to keep and bless you and your family. And I listen. I own all the episodes of Good Times. To me, that's one of the greatest shows of all time to me. And this Unsung is dedicated to Miss Bernnadette Stanis, aka Thelma from Good Times, a true icon and a legend.